other things that scientists think that is a learned behavior that the mothers have taught the calves to do certain things. For example, culturally transmitted. For example, the orcas is very a well-known example, I think, when the adults teach the babies how to hunt for whales. And the bottlenose dolphins, sometimes they strand themselves on purpose to get some of the fish that is ashore. And this also might be a cultural behavior that has been learned. So there are some traits there, but of course it's not something that you can describe for every species. Yeah. And in this case, bottlenose dolphins are like the species of dolphin that has been more studied around the world. And also to work in Australia and try to record some videos or go diving with some dolphins, it's something that is much more pleasant than trying in Iceland maybe to go diving with some white-beaked dolphins. And again, I wasn't too technical, but...
Except that you did not say the name of the technique.
Yes, it's called restriction rat sequencing, restriction site sequencing.
Restriction site sequencing.
Yeah, rat sequencing.
Okay, I thought that was an old technique, really.
Yeah.
So all these restriction enzymes is an enzyme which is restricted in the way that they can only cut the DNA to certain sequences, really small lines or bases in a certain sequence. That's why it's called a restriction enzyme. The enzyme is not able to cut the DNA everywhere, but only certain places. So it's restricted, and that's why it's called a restriction enzyme.
They are also found in the Canada, in the coast of the North US, and also in the south of Greenland. But they are a species they like cold waters and shallow waters. So they are distributed very patchily, like they are not in the middle of the ocean. So that's why we think, or I expect, that there won't be so much genetic connectivity because they like shallow waters. And then of course I'm more interested in that part, but since we are using this
there's so many dolphins around the world. So have you read about all the other? There must be other research going on in other populations, other species of dolphins.
Yeah, there's a lot of research. Well, in Denmark, there's a lot of research in porpoises that are not dolphins, but they are cetaceans. It's the most common cetacean you have here. So there's a lot of research now, especially on the impacts of the wind farms, for example, in their distribution, and noise, traffic. The marine mammals have a lot of disturbances nowadays. And another species that is globally distributed and highly studied is the bottlenose dolphin. That is Flipper. Flipper is a bottlenose dolphin, and it's what you have in the zoological, in the zoos and aquariums many times. That's the species you have. And yeah, I mean, cetaceans are all over the world, and now whale watching platforms are also increasing. The people usually like dolphins and whales, so they want to go and see them. And it's an industry that gives a lot of money for some countries, for example, Australia, or in Iceland, they are growing as well. So When you do a survey to assess the abundance of cetaceans, you know that different species.
Is a difference, and now you say that there's probably different populations, and if you take human beings, then different populations, but it's also kind of culture, and sometimes the culture is even more fine than the population. You would say that the population is maybe mixed more, but maybe the culture and the genetics is two different things. You can kind of talk about the culture population and the genetic population maybe. Or even diving with orcas.
Yeah, it's scary.
You haven't tried that?
No.
You don't want it? You don't trust the orcas?
Well, not really, you know? I think it will be very scary. Like it can be like 9 meters long. No. But yeah, the general trend among marine mammal scientists is that you shouldn't really swim with the animals. So, unless you have a good reason, like tagging or taking a sample or something. Yeah. But of course, there's studies that are viable in some environments, and in another ones they are not. For example, when they started taking DNA from cetacean feces, they published a study where the samples were taken in Bahamas, where they could just jump in the water and just grab the feces with I don't know what they use, but with a bucket or with whatever, which is something that you cannot do in the middle of the Atlantic. Or maybe you can, but you need really good equipment for that.
I think there was a research recently about the orcas that the way there's also a difference in the feeding behavior of the orcas. Can you tell us about that?
Well, I don't know if I'm aware of the last study, but I know that there's 3 main ecotypes of orcas, and there are the orcas that feed on fish, only fish, and the orcas that feed on marine mammals. And then regarding the ecotypes, I think it's the oceanic ecotype, the more coastal, and the transient. I hope I'm not mistaken, but it's true that some specialize in marine mammals and others don't, and it seems to be correlated with some genetic structure. It's the study by Andy, huh? Okay.
Yeah.
So is it
I don't have the journal here. It's a DNA journal.
Yeah, I know he found different lineages based on mitochondrial DNA and on the ecotypes. Now, I'm sure there's 3 ecotypes, but now I think one is just. This study is really cool. I really like it.
There's another one here about Asian DNA, which is called Application and Comparison of Large-Scale Solution-Based DNA Capture Enrichment Methods.
Sorry, if
No,
they are about methods, I think I'm not your woman.
That is a very long sentence, and I don't know anything about it. There's another one called Statistical Guidelines for Detecting Past Population Shifts Using Asian DNA. There's a statistical guidelines for detecting past population shifts using
No idea
Asian
who wrote
DNA.
this one.
There are so many. Then there's one about the genetic origins of the Andaman Islanders. That's quite another thing.
lot of collaborators. So 2 of the PIs are here. PIs, but the rest of the people I don't know them. So
It's quite
even
fun
when
to
it's from
see
my
how many different areas you are studying. This paper is about the retrovirus in koala. So it's called 120 years of koala retrovirus evolution, determined from museum skins of koala.
This one I know it, but I can't really tell you much about retroviruses. And the thing is that the center is very big. We are maybe 50 people, so.
There's one here called investigating the potential use of environmental DNA for genetic monitoring of marine mammals.
Yeah, that's the one we talked about before, where they track harbor purpose DNA. Yeah.
And you have been involved in that, or?
No, when I arrived to the center, they were already developing the method, but there's more people now on board, so they are doing new studies. I'm not sure what they're doing now. Yeah.
Then there's a study here called a comparative study of Asian sedimentary DNA, pollen, and macrofossils from permafrost sediments of northern Siberia reveals long-term vegetation stability.
Yeah. Science.
Then, of course, there's the one here called True Single Molecule DNA Sequencing of a Pleistocene horse bone. The old horse. And there's a true single molecule DNA sequencing of a Pleistocene horse bone. I think it's the same. Reconstructing genome evolution of historic samples of the Irish potato famine pathogen.
Yeah.
Really different. And
So have you read all of them?
no, I haven't. High throughput sequencing of core STR login for forensic genetic investigations using the ROC genome sequencer platform.
I don't know this
It's
one. Most of the ones you are telling me, I know them, yeah, but of course I don't know the details. Yeah.
Even a simple title here: DNA in ancient bone. Where is it located, and how should we extract it?
And this is from Paula. I haven't read it.
I haven't read it. And then the one here: meta barcoding of dirt DNA from soils reflects vertebrate biodiversity.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's an original Australian genome reveals separate human dispersals into Asia. That's about genomes.
Yeah.
A simple method for the parallel deep sequencing of full influenza A genomes.
Yeah. Oh.
Amazing, there are so many different.
Yeah, but have you read all the different authors that are here?
If you can really talk about these, because you are studying all the different.
Yeah, the center is studying all that, but not me. It's a.
Islands on the ice detecting past vegetation of Greenlandic.
I mean, of many of these papers, I have seen a talk. I have seen a PhD defense where they have talked about it, but of course it's not something I feel that I know a lot about it. So.
Okay, here's one.
Okay.
Killer whales.
Ah, yeah. If you want, you give me half an hour, I read it, and then we can talk about
Yeah,
it.
you
But
can read it and come back 1 hour later. Yes. The title of this one is quite funny, but I don't know what it is about the mommy. Vi må også gå op.
Ja, det tror jeg, men jeg tror også, vi begynder at skal videre. I think we're gonna stop.
But anyway, we have found out that quite a lot of different research going on in the center. And,
Yeah. And you haven't shown me any paper of the virus team, I think, or yes? Ah, yeah. Oh. Ah, yeah. That's from 2010. Yeah.
That's another one. Okay.
Okay.
So,
So-
do you have any questions?
Maybe next year I come here and I have all my papers and we can discuss.
We can discuss it next year
Hopefully.
when you have finished your
Yeah.
study. Yes, okay. Yes. Before dolphins, what did you study then? What
Dolphins?
was your interest, or have you been studying or interested in dolphins all your life, or what?
I work in marine science my whole research career.
Okay.
And since my master's, I just happen to do cetacean biology, but it's not that I'm not interested in other things. I have also participated in oceanographic surveys a lot, like sampling fish, sampling, invertebrates as well, marine invertebrates, and some marine plants, marine phanerogamas, I don't know the name in English, and dinoflagellates. So a lot of different marine biology marine organisms. But since my master's, I have worked in dolphins, yes. While I was in geogenetics, I have worked a little with the Danish squirrels as well.